Now you are the nephew.
I am the nephew. My dad was the youngest brother of the Weick brothers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I really didn't get to know Fred because everybody moved out of Berwyn except my dad and our family. However, Betsy tells me that the family did stay with the Weicks down in Hampton for a period of time.
Yeah.
And my dad worked in the shipyard down there. But I understand he also did some work on the coupe, not the coupe, on the W1, and machining part of the propeller, and I think he ground it down too far from the story I heard. and some welds broke loose. But I understand he also had something to do with the diesel engines from the submarines that powered the wind tunnel that went back to the cooling.
Yes.
Just what I have heard down the line.
Yeah.
But actually knowing Uncle Fred, like I say, being out of town and by being so small, but I've always had an interest in airplanes. I've built airplanes since the time I could cut my fingers with a razor blade. And right now I have two models of a coupe at home, one with a 60-inch wingspan and one with an 80, and hopefully I'll get them built in time. I did fly with Uncle Fred in, I think it was 48, and also sometime in the 50s.
So who are the flyers in the family? Any pilots here?
I was. I
Okay.
haven't flown much since.
Did you ever fly the coupe?
Oh yes, but
Yeah.
I flew it second.
Ah,
I learned on a Piper Cub.
yeah, okay. How about you? Did you fly the coupe?
I get
Very
airsick very easily.
Keep that in there, 'cause I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah,
I'm getting airsick. He was my first passenger in a Cub, and he sat in the front seat, and I sat in the rear seat, and I took him around home in College Park, and he was looking out the window this side and looking out the window that side, and then he stopped. Saw him, he was locked straight ahead. And then he stuck his head out the window, and I was sitting behind, and I was a recipient of his generosity. But I have to tell you, so we did fly. I took him right back to the airport, and he landed. He turned back and said, "Nice landing."
Okay, Betsy, did you ever fly in the air coupe?
Yes, I also had my pilot's license.
Really?
Yes. And they used to judge the length of my flying lessons by either how green I got or how far out on the springs my freckles stood. And let me tell you, the time we did the spins and stalls was no fun, thank you. I, of course, learned on a J3 and then flew Ercoups.
Yeah.
And there was a period when I babysat an Ercoupe in a car display, and all the guys would come in and ask me the most technical questions they could think of. And either I had the answer or I said, okay, I'll go home and I'll ask my dad when you come back, but don't come back tomorrow because I may not be able to ask him tonight.
Flew once with Donald when he came into Milwaukee Airport. But no, I don't have a pilot's license. I am a wannabe.
I just wanted to say that I think Alan knows more about the Ercoupe than any one of us. Certainly he knows
I
more
doubt
than
that
I
very
do.
much.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows more about aircraft than the rest of us put together.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
But he does.
What do you think was were the greatest innovations of this design?
Today, I think it has to be the steerable tricycle landing gear. Where once upon a time it was the unconventional gear, it has to be the conventional gear today.
Mm-hmm.
I took my dad to Oshkosh when he was in his late 80s, and there was a Wheeler Express there that had a tricycle gear. And Dad asked the gentleman, "What do you think of the tricycle gear?" And he said, "Real pilots fly tail draggers." And Dad died.
I think Dad felt that the tricycle gear was the principle, even though the Ercoupe was two control and made it much easier for people to learn to fly.
Yeah.
Every time I can't think of the name of it,
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
the
the
space
shuttle.
shuttle.
Space
Yeah,
shuttle.
the shuttle,
Every
yes.
time it landed, he just got the biggest kick out of seeing it land. Because if you'd landed that thing with a conventional gear, I'll bet you somebody would have messed up sometime.
Yeah.
It really meant a lot to him. He
Yeah.
loved, I think he loved, well, that's when the plane was really performing
Yeah.
in a only way that only it could with the tricycle gear.
Earl Myers took Dad to Canaveral for the
Oh, yeah.
launch
Oh,
of the
yeah.
space shuttle.
Oh,
And Earl saw one of the astronauts and asked him if he wanted to meet the man who invented the tricycle landing gear. And the astronaut was delighted.
One time, while they were living in Vero Beach, the dad went to, or mother and dad went to a gathering of World War II pilots. And someone said at this, how many lives were saved by having the tricycle landing gear on the planes that they flew, the ones that had it during World War II. And Dad was not expecting that. And
Yeah.
I know you've all been coming to these Ercoupe conventions for many years. What's it feel like when you come to this and you know that your dad was all involved in this and all these people are here and wow, this is kind of neat for you, isn't it?
it's very neat for us, but it's also neat because it's meant so much to Dad and Mother. It
Yeah.
really extended their enjoyment of life for a number of years. They never missed one until they had to,
Yeah.
but it meant a lot to them. And then we get it, I was gonna say vicariously, but that's the wrong word, we get it secondhand. We know they earned it, and we just inherited it, and that's a big difference.
Yeah.
But they treat us better than we really merit,
Right.
but we don't mind that.
I love it. I really, like Don, I feel a little bit, or a fair amount undeserving, but I really get a lot of pleasure and satisfaction out of coming here, and just sort of having some memories that I can share and that other people are interested in hearing, that kind of thing.
We enjoy it. My wife Jean and I can get here, maybe about every 3 years or so, and wish we could come to more of them. But it is a great enjoyment to us, and like Donald and Betsy, it seems as if we don't really deserve the attention that we get.
I really cherish it because it keeps the whole thing going, the whole family. It keeps Dad alive. Now, he's been dead 19 years now. No, I'm sorry, 17 years. But it keeps them both alive in our minds, in my mind, and I'm sure in Dick's and Betsy's as well.
Yeah.
And it keeps him and the work he did and the results of it alive with so many other people who never would have known if it hadn't been for the Skip and the others forming this Ercoupe Owners Club. And that meant a whole lot to them. They really appreciated it. And when we stop to think about it and recognize it, we really appreciate it too. It's really special to us.
Yeah. I want to thank you for sharing these few minutes with you. It's really been a real pleasure for me, and I'm sure for all our viewers, to hear about living and growing up with such wonderful parents, and hear about all the innovations of your father. And we look forward to seeing you at a future Ercoupe National Convention. Thanks.